Hi, over here. Yeah, it's okay. You can come a little closer. There you go. Welcome to the St. Thomas Video Podcast. My name is Aaron Walter, and I'm the youth pastor and associate priest here at St. Thomas Church. We have Andrew Van Hout joining us today. Andrew was a part of the youth group here at St. Thomas back in the day, and he is going to be sharing with you and with us what's up with him and God these days. We hope that you will listen, hear what God is saying through him, and that this blesses you mightily.
Hi everyone, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. It still is, as of recording, liturgically speaking, in the Christmas season, so Merry Christmas is still very much valid. Father Aaron asked me to record a little 2 to 8 minute video on what is up with you and God, and gosh, I feel like when a priest asks you to record a video about what's up with you and God, like, how do you begin? Do you begin with, like, the line, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It has been 2 years since my last confession. These are my sins"? Is that what you do? Maybe? No. So these videos, I'm a fan. I've been a fan of the YouTube feed and the podcast. I'm a little bit behind, but I've watched all of them except, I think, like the most recent 3. And yeah, it's a real honor or privilege. It's real flattering and humbling, I guess, to be asked to say something, but I promise I will try to keep it to 2 to 8 minutes. I bet I'm already like 30 or 40 seconds in, but we white guys, I'm looking at the white guys who are listening, right, young and old. We sometimes talk too much, and we could afford to listen a little bit more. So I'm going to try to keep it brief, right? And I think one of my resolutions this year was to do more listening, especially of people who are not white guys. That's probably a little bit of an inflammatory statement, but I think it's important to listen, even if you take the white guy part out of it. It's just important sometimes to listen. But that said, I do have a couple of things to say, and a couple of honest and candid things to say. So forgive me, for I have sinned. It's been 2 years. It has been 2 years since my last confession. That's about how long the pandemic has been, and I've been great. I've worked from home long before the pandemic, and it suits me. I do miss, I have not been back to Mass since then, and I am vaccinated and boosted, and right before the pandemic, I moved to the lovely little city of Fond du Lac, which I still don't know very well because it's still the middle of a pandemic, and I've been being responsible. And slowly returning to life. And I think the thing that I missed most, personally, was just the rhythm of time. And specifically in a spiritual sense, Sunday Mass was really important for centering my week. And the live streams are great. I catch them, honestly, on a pretty regular basis. There are, I think, 1 out of 6 I might miss live and catch the recording afterward, because that, for me personally, Sunday Mass is a centering experience and is important, for honestly selfish, almost nostalgic reasons, right? I grew up attending Mass, so it's something that's important to me and it centers me. So that's something in these times I miss, and I think we're close though. We'll ride out the latest bit of the pandemic. I know there's been a surge, but after that, I think being kind of vaccinated and boosted, I'm comfortable showing up again. But everyone at their own time and their own comfort level, honestly. But I've been dodging the question. So what is up with me and God, right? So that's a question. It's actually like a real informal question. But if you pause, and if I try to answer it, I stop. I stop and I go, I don't even know what God is, right? And that's from too many philosophy classes, from going to university and becoming a philosophy major, and then going off and becoming a data analyst, basically, right? But like, look, the concept of God is difficult, and I'm not even certain it's logically coherent, right? In fact, I'm probably certain in some regards it isn't, right? All powerful beings are beings that can create rocks that they can't lift, right? That's a logical contradiction. It's a paradox. A God that is, all powerful, like the concept of, especially like the Jesus narrative, right, of a God that dies for his people, and then returns from the dead, right? Like that's a paradox, and it's not possible, based on what we know about modern science. So there are all sorts of things that are about God and the concept of God that are just problematic, right? That God, I think the quote I have in my notes here is ill-suited to language. And the older I get, the less confident I am that I, or that really anyone, can kind of articulate anything complete, at the very least. I have the word meaningful. I think people can articulate meaningful things about spirituality, but maybe not complete things. I guess kind of another bit of confessional, and this is autobiographical, right? I don't generally see or hear God in the world. There are a lot of very spiritual people that do, and that it comes naturally towards, right? And I think when I was a very young child, I might have had those moments, right? But that's not been the case since I was a very young child. I'm a naturally cynical and skeptical person. I am the Thomas of please let me see, like, the hand wounds, right? And that's okay. That's the faith and belief of an adult. Not that people that see and hear God don't have that faith, but it's a different sort of thing, right? It's people who don't feel or hear God on an emotional or a physical or even an intellectual level. It's important to say that you, if you're out there, and if you're like me, you have just as valid of an inner spiritual life as people who get up on stage and preach that they have moving experiences of God in their lives, right? Or like, that they see God everywhere in nature or in, their morning cup of coffee, right? Our spiritual lives are just as valid, right? And it's the sort of thing that when, if you're a member of St. Thomas, when Father Ralph or Father Aaron or really any priest or preacher sits up and in a sermon or in discussion, when they say something that they know about God or about Jesus or about something spiritual, I'm usually raising an eyebrow, right? And I think it's because about the word know, right? And about knowledge. And if there's kind of a whole theme about my relationship with God and what's up with God, it's about knowledge and the humility that it's not something I have, right? My faith, then, it can't be about what I see or hear or feel or even know or can articulate, right? It is literally about what I do not have the words to speak about. And Christianity, if we back away and look at our Christian tradition, right, we are naturally an agnostic faith, kind of in like the most technical senses, right? Gnosticism is a brand of Christianity, or a brand of religious experience that claims it has special hidden knowledge about God or about reality or the cosmos, right? And so the early church fathers, came together and argued, and like the consensus moved in the direction that the Christian tradition, or at least the modern Christian tradition, is primarily an agnostic religion where we don't have special or hidden knowledge about God or reality or the cosmos or what it all means, right? We aren't special in that regard. So much so that the Nicene and the Apostles' Creeds, right? When you recite the creed, Christians use the phrase, I believe, right? They don't use the phrase, I know. And I think what's up with me and God is ultimately, kind of the older I get and the more facial hair I grow, and sort of the longer I've been at, I just had a birthday last week, and the longer I'm at this, the more comfortable I am with that, right? It's that for me, what's up with me and God and my faith, it's kind of an inner affirmation of things that I can't articulate, of things like hope, of love, of peace, of balance, of virtue. And it's no longer about knowing what God wants or what God means, or knowing like a particular doctrine or being fussy about the details, right? It's all moot. Like, it's all a moot point anyway, when we lack the words and the knowledge to even articulate like that initial answer. And I'm going to leave it there. I think there's a whole lot more we could talk about, but I think that's a take. God bless, Merry Christmas, and thank you.